Hello YouTube, welcome to today's video. Hope you're having a great day and thank you for being here. So today I will start a series about how do you actually improve your aim. So if you see in the background I have AimBeast loaded. If you have such a programs, AimBeast, AimLabs, Kovaaks Aimtrainer, you most likely started the program to actually work on your aim. And I want to start this video series about how to actually do it. How does your brain actually work? What do you need to adjust? How do you do it? This thing is that most of you are actually already making some improvements. So why would you watch this video? It's like you have learned things before watching this video, right? So learning, just do it, just click some heads and you will get better. Yes, but you might plateau, you might not learn as fast as you want, and you might ask yourself, why I clicked this Kovaaks bot 20,000 times, why have I not improved? Yeah, I will tell you why. Because there are actually certain things you can do to improve your learning experience and improve your learning speed. And the things we'll talk about will also not only improve your aim, but also your ability to learn in general, right? You can translate it directly into throwing hoops in basketball, playing soccer, or playing dart, and or, cooking, chopping your vegetables. It can be applied to even learning mathematics or a new language, how to remember 1,000 vocabularies, because we actually look at the brain function of learning, and then what you can do to improve the brain function of learning. With that being said, I want to start with a disclaimer of I'm not a professional, studied anything. I have not studied this topic. I've read it, I informed myself, but of course, whatever I say can be wrong. So if you want to have the actual factual knowledge, ask a professional, look it up at Wikipedia. This is not the right channel for that. I want to take these topics and dumb them down to a point where they're actually close to factual wrong for the sake of actually applying them onto aim training mostly, because that's what we are interested in, right? Improving our aim. So some things I say are technically wrong, but they are still helpful to believe in the way I say them to improve in aim training. So with that being said, I want to start first on how your brain controls movement in general. Because we need to start at the beginning, right? First understand just how does it actually work, and then we can understand how to improve it. So basically, you have at the top of your brain the upper motor cortex. It sits right in the center, I think, on the top. It's a kind of like also a band in the center of your brain. And that basically transfers your deliberate thoughts into movements. Like I want to move my right arm up. Oh, I moved my right arm up. I move left arm here. So I have a deliberate want for a movement, and this upper motor cortex starts first in taking this wish to move and starts translating it further down for the movement. Now, further down, we have the lower motor neuron. So in the upper motor cortex, we have the upper motor neurons. Neurons is always things in your brain that does your brain consists of neurons. I don't want to explain neurons at this point. You have the lower motor neurons roughly in your neck, for example, and there you have the central pattern generators. And the patterns they create are all the muscles movements you do without thinking about them. Like, I think you're currently breathing in, breathing out. This is done by muscles in your lungs, in your diaphragm, like in German Zwerchfell. This is a muscle that needs to be controlled. But who controls them? You were not thinking about breathing until I told you, right? That's done by your neural central generators. Like if you want to walk up and down, like I walk left, right. These are all done by the central pattern generators. I have a pattern which muscles need to be triggered for me to move, because I have like in your arm you have the biceps at the front, the triceps on the back, so I can extend and bend my arm to muscles. It's more than two, of course, but and now if you have a mouse movement, you kind of have a complex motion, and so you need a little bit of both at the precise timing. And these precise timings are controlled further down your spine, basically. And then lower down your spine, like in the entire length of the spine, are the actual neurons that send actual signals down the axons. The axons are basically the wire that connect your muscle to your spine. Like the biceps has one axon connecting it to the spine, so the spine can send an electrical signal down, and when the muscle gets an electrical signal, it gets activated, and then signal turns off, it gets lowered, right? And you can do that also by applying an outside electrical force. If I put some there are some training devices where you just put outside electrical force and you activate muscle, deactivate, without even thinking about it, because electrical force will just trigger your muscle to contract. And if you remove the electrical signal, the muscle just relaxes. Contract, relax, okay. So you have this chain of neurons in your brain that control your movement, and they are on the top, like very broad, I want to walk there. And further down, you have a very precise, activate the biceps for 100 milliseconds, so there is a 100 millisecond long electrical signal on the biceps, basically. And in the center, you have the central pattern generators, that transfer your wish for a complex set of muscle activations onto, I want to move my crosser somewhere. Right, so this is how your wish to move something is transferred down from your brain to your muscles. But there's also more things. And the other thing is, how does your brain actually know where it is? Like, where is your hand even? Who knows? Like, you know where your hand is, even without looking at it. And that's because you have maps inside of your brain about the outside world. Like, you have a map of representation, like what you see here and what you hear here, and also you have sensors that sense where your arm is actually without. So even if my arm is here, I'm not looking at it, I still know where it is, right? I can still move in this space without looking at it, and I can still do a circle left, circle right, move back, move forward without looking at it, because I have also sensors that tell me where my arm is. And all this sensory information are put in a map in my brain that just links all this sensory information together, where everything is. Now, the first thing, specific for aiming, I want to add here is that you can connect, that this map is created dynamically. It is created from sensory input it gets, but you can totally train it to get different sensory input. If you have, like, if you go forward 100 years, you're now a cyberpunk, you get implanted a third eye into your forebrain, your brain can handle it. It will just transfer the signal from the third eye into a additional map. And the same thing happens just with your aim, right? You have a crosser. Like, if we go here for tile frenzy, let's go for free play so I can explain longer. Right, I have a crosser, and I know, okay, to move here, I have a map now of tile frenzy in my brain, basically. This type of gaming maps also gets translated into your brain, into the maps. So basically, the crosser becomes a part of your representation of the world, basically. And now the other thing is, we have a same map of motor control, which basically is a map of, well, which axons, which neurons make actually which movement. So which muscles do I need to activate to move my crosser down, or up, or left, or right. So this is a map of control. So you have a map of sensors, and you have a map of control, where what you actually need to do, and these maps are merged. So if you see something on your left, and for example, you see my mouse pad right on the side. So if there is something, I want to grab it, I can grab it. And now the thing is, I did not look at the thing I grabbed. I looked at my camera input, and I can still grab it. Why? Why am I able to do it? I did not even look at it. I looked at the camera representation. So I look into my screen, which records me, which records the thing. Like, if I look at it, I can grab it. And if I look at my camera output, I can also grab it. And you see, it's mostly precise. So I misgrabbed it by a little, but it's mostly precise. It's mostly precise. And that is kind of magic tricks, guys. Like, don't take this for granted. This is really a key element of learning. You need to understand that whatever happens on your screen is mapped inside your brain. Okay? So basically, if you pick something up and look at it, you can pick it up without fail very easily, because you have trained this 1,000 times, and you know exactly which muscles to move to grab it, right? You know exactly, okay, biceps, triceps, you don't think about muscles, you just think about grabbing it, right? And this will of grabbing it gets translated into the muscle functions. Okay, then, so basically, this is the first thing I just want to tell you guys. Your brain is completely dynamic, and you trained your brain to actually see the world of aiming, your crosser, your target, your mouse, as actual part of your body. Like you maybe heard from sword fighting, become one with a sword. It's the same. Trained swordsmen basically have know where the sword tip is without looking at it. Like it doesn't matter how they hold the sword, they always know where the tip is. For the same reason, they have trained the map of the sword, of the muscles, to actually where the sword is. Because it's dynamic training, and this is what we do here as well. So your function to aim, I want to move my cursor specifically onto this target and click it, and I want to click it, do it as fast as possible, right? I do not want to see, oh, I'm a little bit away, so I'll move a little bit up. Oh, I'm now a tiny bit next to it, so I move a little bit to the left, right? This is too slow. You want to go right side and click. And now I missed, and this is actually what you want to train. You go left to the other target, click, oh, I hit, okay. You move down, click a little bit too far to the left, okay? And here you have some errors, and this is what you actually want to train. The representation of the map of your representation and how you actually click your map of motor control, basically. Now, this is basically the broad explanation of how your brain works. And now we come to the second part. How do you learn something? And now learning these things means to actually physically change your brain. Like you need to add additional wrinkles in your brain. Like maybe you have heard the derogatory term smooth brain as an insult, and we want to become the opposite, a wrinkled brain. The more wrinkles we have, the better. Okay, so how do you actually get more wrinkles on your brain? So for that, you first need to trigger a state called neural plasticity. Neural just means brain, and plasticity means it can be formed, it's moldable, it can be changed, right? Just trigger neural plasticity, and you do that mostly. There are a lot of topics and a lot of scientific research going on, but mostly by doing errors. Like you want to click on a target, like here, and you missed, and now you think, oh, I wanted to move there, but my map of motor control, my map of representation, something did not align, and I did not manage to actually click this target. And this error will actually trigger chemicals in your brain to actually change. And this is the first step. You need to first reach a state of neural plasticity. And this is not something that happens like instantly, like you miss once and then you are neural plasticity, but it's more like a general state your brain's currently in. Because it releases neurotransmitters, it releases chemicals in your brain that actually makes your brain soft. Basically, like you heard the term, watching TV makes your brain soft. Now, actually, making your brain soft is actually the start of learning, so it's actually not a bad thing. So, first step is make errors, trigger neural plasticity. Then, we want to go about our aim training routine. So you actually want to train the stuff you are training, and what happens then is that every time you succeed in doing what you want to do. So let's start first by reusing the same neural pathway, like the motor cortex, the central pattern generators, the axons, the spines, everything you use. Every time you use it, it will get re-improved. So just to maintain your function to aim, you need to actually aim regularly, most likely daily. It's just maintenance, basically. You just need to use the same neurons, the same nerves, to do the same stuff, just to maintain the quality of them. Every time they are reused, they kind of get also basically reset to the good working state. And if you don't use them for a while, they will deteriorate and will get weaker over time. So the first thing is you just do the stuff to maintain your stuff, your ability to move to have the nerves. Then every time you succeed in hitting something, what happens is you get a short release of dopamine. Oh, something was good. And now the thing with dopamine is that this is what triggers your brain to want to repeat something. Your brain wants you to do things that get your brain dopamine. And now the risk is you also get dopamine by just eating sugar. And then if you eat sugar, you get dopamine and your brain just says, oh, I want more sugar. And then you don't want to aim train because sugar gave you more dopamine than aim training. So why would you aim train? No, to be stated, for you to want to aim train, you actually need this dopamine release. Oh, I hit something, I did good, I get dopamine, I reward myself, basically. Self-reward. But if you miss, now this is what's interesting. If you miss, what actually happens is that the neural pathways that were triggered down from your upper motor neurons to the lower motor neurons and further down the spine to your muscles, somewhere along this chain, something went wrong. And the path that was used to move your crosshair but went wrong get actually marked for rework, basically. So your brain just marks neural pathways that resulted in an error and to be reworked. So next time you sleep, this marking will get processed and your neural pathways change. So the next time after you wake up, you have actually adapted and changed your brain. So you went through a state of neural adaptation. So first we had neural plasticity, your brain was moldable, then you trained and marked all the pathways, and then during sleep, neural adaptation happened, which means your brain actually changed. And now the next day, you are actually better at doing the same task, where you made errors before, you are now a little bit better. And this is basically the process which we will look through this entire series of videos I will create. We will look through this process, how to improve this process. And we will start today with the very first topic, which is, I think, the most important one, honestly. I know there are many important ones, and it's hard to say which is the most important one, but I think the first one really is the most important, and it's just called sleep. During your sleep, neural adaptation happens. If you don't sleep enough, you sabotage your own neural adaptation. So all your training, all your marking, your brain and your paths is for naught if you do not sleep correctly, right? You need to sleep for a neural adaptation to happen. You do not improve clicking dots or tiles. While you do it, you improve clicking tiles while you sleep, after you've trained it. And by the way, the same goes, of course, for learning mathematics or learning throw darts. It's the same. You improve while you sleep. And so my first recommendation to improve your aim is to actually sleep well. And with that, I mean 8 hours every single day, maybe 9, but usually everything above 8 hours works. And sleeping has actually two good things. One thing is, of course, you have enough time for neural adaptation during sleep. But the second thing is that you also are well rested, which means your body had time to recover, your brain had time to sort emotions and feelings and so on. You get stress resistant, you get tilt resistant, you get really top of your mechanical game. With that I mean, even if you know which motor, which nerves to use, they are still kinda can be shaky. You have good days, you have bad days, and if you sleep more, you have in general better bad days and less bad days. Like you will never reach 100% consistency with muscles because everything is dynamic. Like you have different lengths of arms between days, literally. Like sometimes your arm is 1 millimeter longer than the other day, or your feet or your spine or whatever. Every process is dynamic. So you will never reach full consistency, but even on your lowest days, your performance will be higher if you sleep well. And so sleeping well really does two things. Really, it helps you to stay motivated and focused and being able to train. And it also does the neural adaptation thingy while you sleep, so you actually improve while you sleep. And the first topic for today is sleep well. Try to get a schedule where you can sleep 8 hours every day. Ideally, of course, it would be really from being asleep until waking up. But I know that's hard for some people, so at least start to be in bed and stop doing anything for 8 hours. So the question is always, when does sleep actually start? When you close your eyes, or when you really lose consciousness, or when does sleep actually start? The thing is, stop looking at smartphones, stop reading books, really lie there, not thinking about anything, and you already start triggering a deep rest state. We will use this topic in future episodes because you can also implement deep rest in between training sessions and stuff. But this is really my recommendation. Have 8 hours of not doing anything at night. And yes, I mean night. I don't care if you go to sleep at 10 p.m. or at midnight or at 4 a.m. But have 8 hours of continuous rest where you do not do anything. You don't look at smartphones. You do not read books. You do not try to actively think about something. You don't try to solve your last programming problem or something, or think about why your car didn't start. You really try to not have any topics going on. Just rest for 8 hours every single day. that's basically it. For today's video, this is it. If you like this content, subscribe, because more will be coming. I will cover this topic. And some of you might have noticed that this is kind of like very similar to the same series I started over on my other channel directly in Overwatch. But this one is more geared towards aim training in AimBeast or Kovaaks or AimLab, and the other one is more about YouTube folks. And there are some differences because, of course, you already started AimBeast, so you already want to train. You already have kind of, I start this, I do now my training session. While the other people in Overwatch, they might be just, I play here soldier for 2 hours a day, I stuck at bronze, what do I do? So there are a little bit different differences, but also many similar things, because the Overwatch players also needs to sleep. So you can decide for yourself if you want to follow this more or the other series more, or watch both or none of them. It's really your decision. I will do the same content basically on both pages. With that being said, thank you very much for staying for the long video. I know it's kind of long and kind of a difficult topic. And yeah, I hope you liked it. And see you next time. Bye bye.